I'm really happy that in all places in the world that we'll be in Richmond in 2020.
Let's look at some of your recent cities:
Yeah.
Oslo, Beijing, Austin, London, Geneva, now Richmond, Virginia. When you realized that that was even a possibility on the map, what did you think?
I think it's incredibly exciting. I mean, it's a wonderful city. It's going to be an exciting event, and it'll be creative, and everyone's going to have a great time.
Mayor Stoney, the Menuhin Competition has been to some of the most fascinating global cities, including London, Geneva, Beijing, and now it comes to your city, Richmond. What can we expect?
Well, you can expect us to roll out the red carpet for the talented young violinists from all across the country. Richmond is not too dissimilar from Austin, where the last competition was held. We will showcase the fact that we have an enormous amount of creatives who've made Richmond their home, and that is seen in its everyday life in the city, from all things arts to what we do with our Richmond Symphony as well. I am excited and can't wait to see the number of young people from throughout the world who will come and see our talent, but also the exchange of talent between those who live in Virginia and beyond, and in the States, and also those from around the world.
The Menuhin is often described as the Olympics of the violin, even the Olympics of music. So as the mayor of the host city of the Music Olympics, what do you want it to achieve for the people of Richmond?
Well, what I want to achieve for the people of Richmond is the ability for us to show the world that we are quite capable of hosting events like this. When you think about those cities, Austin, Oslo, London, Richmond's a world-class city, a welcoming and inclusive place that has a focus on talent. And the fact that the Menuhin competition will be based in Richmond in May of 2020 will show the world that Richmond's a destination, not just in the United States, but also for the entire globe.
Speaking of the entire globe, we all know, of course, the international bike race that
Yes.
you host there every year. Does that give you some kind of pre-knowledge in what you want to do for this other kind of international competition?
Yes, the UCI bike race put us on the map. I think when folks saw images of our great city on TV, and saw all the different landmarks and the great landscape we had to offer, folks said, "Where is that place?" Well, now we'll be on the map once again, and the fact that this will be beamed throughout the world to so many different households, and people will get to see what Richmond has to offer, is only a benefit to our city, only a benefit to our state, and only a benefit to the United States of America. Virginia was the birthplace of our democracy, and we've been charged now and into living out the promise of showing folks that we are an inclusive and welcoming place, and no matter who you are, what color your skin may be, what your background may be, that you can live out your God-given talents right here in Virginia, right here in the United States of America, and we still carry those themes to this day, and in line with our founding fathers, we want to show folks that this is a true melting pot, and what you will see on display in Richmond, what you've seen in Austin and in London, is that all these talented young people from all across the world with different hues will come together with one focus and showing and displaying their talent on the violin.
Yehudi Menuhin is perhaps the founding father of humanity, kindness, compassion in times of conflict. We think about the Second World War, we think about apartheid South Africa. At this time in our world, when we're being greatly challenged, does his message bring something particularly poignant and critical?
I think that humanitarian message is needed now more than ever. Each and every day, young people all across this world wake up and they see images of a world and here in the States in conflict. And I think it's great to show people that we can gather around things that bring us together. And I think music is one of those things that no matter what country you live in, it's a common piece of the fabric of our culture and of society. No matter if you live in Asia or if you live in North America, music brings people together. And the fact that my city, the capital of the Commonwealth of Virginia, will have an opportunity to bring the world together, we embrace that role.
It's a great joy to be speaking with you both, and starting with you, Dr. Crutcher. Going to Richmond, so many people are talking about Menuhin in Richmond in 2020 will be fantastic. But what do you think the opportunity will be for the people of Richmond?
This will be a great opportunity for the people of Richmond and the community. Hosting the Menuhin competition will be another positive historical moment for the city of Richmond and for our communities, universities and communities, both the University of Richmond and the Virginia Commonwealth University.
What's exciting about today is meeting you both side by side as partners, as key actors in articulating the magic that will be Richmond 2020. Dr. Wiznerowicz, you're from Virginia Commonwealth. What do you think VCU will bring to this equation?
Well, VCU, much like the University of Richmond, has really strong connections with the city, and we're looking to pull upon those connections that brings the entire community together, not only for the core competition itself, but also to raise arts awareness across the city and also across the state.
You talked about arts awareness. You could have picked any of the arts, yet you've decided to focus your commitment to music in particular. Why is that?
Well, music has always been an important feature at both of our universities, and we think this is an opportunity that we can actually create a larger fabric of music and all sorts of music to help young people across the state understand what it takes to be a true artist.
Dr. Crutcher, you're obviously a well-known figure at the university and the city and the state as well. If you look into your imagination, what's going to excite you most about Richmond 2020?
What will excite me most, and I think what will excite Richmond most, is the fact that you will have brilliant young people playing extraordinary music on the violin.
And you have, I hear, the special facilities to stage this. You've got the Modeling Center. So to those of us who have not yet been there in person, what's it like and what does it offer?
The Modeling Center is actually a place where there are no bad seats in the room. So it offers every individual coming to experience this competition an opportunity to see up close the competition.
Add to that your own unique facilities. You have a concert hall over at VCU. Tell us about that, and how is it going to stage some of the events for the Menuhin in 2020?
So at Virginia Commonwealth University, we have the Sonia Vlasovic Concert Hall. It seats about approximately 500 people, and it's really set up to be a really good chamber music setting. Now, we've arranged that some of the rounds are going to happen at the University of Richmond, and then those rounds will move to VCU. So participants get a chance to actually blend in and see both of our facilities if they progress through, but we're also hoping the community comes out and spend some time at both of our concert halls.
The Menuhin is not just a competition, even though it's called the Menuhin Competition. It's actually a festival and a celebration of young people, of excellence, of humanity as well. Does that tie in particularly with Richmond?
Yes, it ties in with the mission of not only the city of Richmond, but also of both of our universities, where we looked at education through arts, through humanities, is to reach beyond what the individual is trying to attempt to do and see the world through a unique global vision.
Yehudi Menuhin has an intrinsic link to modern America. He was born there in New York. He gave his professional debut in San Francisco. But I heard that he has a real special relationship with Virginia itself.
This is correct. He came to Virginia in 1987, February 5th, for a performance. He was visiting with an ensemble and performed in Richmond, and I understand that he also received the key to the city and also an honorary doctorate from Virginia Commonwealth University.
You're here to represent President Crutcher, who is a highly regarded administrator, performer as a cellist himself, and an educator. What do you think has in store for the 2-year run-up?
Oh, well, he'll probably find ways to share the story of his involvement in the Menuhin experience by talking about the people who are leaders in the Menuhin competition, his experience of having been to the Menuhin competition in Texas, so the first one in the United States, I believe. And he'll probably engage young people, both in our Richmond community and also on the college campus, to learn more about Menuhin leading up to 2020.
David Fisk, everyone's talking about Menuhin Richmond, but also Menuhin Richmond Symphony. You're celebrating the 60th birthday of this family of musicians. What do you look forward in extending that celebration into 2020?
So as we turned 60, we made a conscious decision to look forward rather than back. We spent a lot of time for our 50th honoring our past, and we continue to do that. But the 60th has held lots of promise for us, and it was during this season that the announcement was made that we'd be hosting the Menuhin competition in 2020. So it's given us, I think, a real burst of energy to look forward to what the next 10 years are going to include.
I'll go into the personal stories later, but for now to say, when you look into the future, obviously you're investing in the youth of global music talent. What do you want everyone back home to know about Richmond Menuhin and what it could do for the city and its own 60 years ahead?
What I love about the opportunity to host this competition is it brings together the best of all that we do. The bringing of the best talent in the world to Richmond in youth, but also our deep commitment to music education. And I'm just looking forward so much to the chance for the kids that we work with in Richmond Public Schools every day, every week, to hear others that are the same age and think this could be me.
Sharing music is particularly important in this era of social media and sharing everything. The community is obviously going to be impacted in different ways. What do you visualize in terms of bringing Menuhin and the symphony out into the community in the way that you already do?
I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to take advantage of the presence of these 44 young, amazing people, and also the members of the jury, of course, as well. So apart from making the competition as good as it can be, we are equally interested in the festive nature of it and the chance to bring the young competitors and the jurors out into parts of the city. So the whole of Richmond feels ownership of the celebrations and opportunity for access to the music making as well.
Yehudi Menuhin is a figure with whom we all feel we know from his music, from social history even. But someone told me that you actually met him and you were 8 years old. What happened then?
I was a boy chorister in St. Paul's Cathedral in London, and I'm not quite sure how it happened, but it did happen that Lord Menuhin came by to give a private performance for the boys of the choir downstairs in the chapel at the cathedral. And I can still vividly remember the impact it made on me of hearing an unaccompanied Bach partita played in that sacred space, and the kindness that he showed us all in spending time with us afterwards and talking to us. I still have his autograph from that time. And then I actually had the chance to work with him years later. I was running a London orchestra, the Orchestra of St. John's, Smith Square, and we had the honor of being the orchestra for the competition in, I'm going to say, around 1996, when it was in Folkestone. And it was a thrill then, as a professional musician, to have the chance to work with him and to see him interacting with these young musicians then. So it feels very special to have the chance now to be able to be part of his legacy through our hosting in 2020.
Going back to your boyhood experience and imagine yourself back in the crypt when he performed for you and your classmates, and the experience that left you with at an impressionable period in your life, what would you want the other 8-year-olds in the audience and the 80-year-olds to take away when they're sitting there in 2020?
Well, as I was watching this Geneva competition online and watching the number of hits going up on social media, now that we have access to this incredible opportunity of international distribution through the medium of the internet, the same impression that was made on me as an 8-year-old in London in that live performance, I think is going to be equally powerful now for the folks of all ages who hear these young performers in Richmond and online in 2020.
John Felton, you run public television in Richmond, and as such, you're going to have a very special role to play for the Menuhin competition in 2020. What's the plan?
Well, first of all, we are absolutely thrilled to be selected by the committee to take care of the 2020 Menuhin competition. We are going to provide the entire live streaming feed to the world. We're also going to record for the specific concerts, actually 3 in the one documentary, and we're going to post-produce them and bring them to the entire world after Menuhin. But we will be providing constant live coverage of everything in the Menuhin competition.
We've spoken so much about Richmond taking its role as a host city, almost of an Olympics or a major global event. This is a major global event. For television, that has a unique capacity to impact community at a local level and also at an international level in a very special way. What do you want people to take away, not just from the concerts and competitions? What do you want them to walk away with?
We want them to walk away with the love of music. They're going to be immersed in a style of playing that perhaps they haven't had a chance to ever see before. And we want them to know all about the Menuhin Violin competition. And we're going to educate our audience not only with the concert, but also with who Menuhin was, what he means to the world. And we are an educational station in public television in America. And our birthright is education, arts, and culture, and children. And the Menuhin Violin competition lines perfectly with that mission entirely.
You've had a long track record, and you'll be too humble to say it, in exposing your audiences in a way that other stations may not have done in terms of operas and plays and all forms of music. Is this another cog in that wheel, or is this something very special?
It's actually something very special, on at least on American television these days. Most of the programming is directed at the common denominator to get as big as an audience as possible to sell advertising. We don't sell advertising on American public television, and as a result, we can provide programs to a distinct, discerning audience. We can bring a play, bring American Masters to everyone's home, live from Lincoln Center, the Metropolitan Opera. We can do that because of our non-commercial nature.
Gordon Back, Artistic Director of the Menuhin Competition. We spoke in London 2 years ago. What's Geneva been like for you?
It's been absolutely wonderful. It's been quite exceptional how the city has embraced the event. I mean, it's a small city compared to London, but of course there's so many international organizations here that it's been great, basically.
Geneva's unique, as you said, in that sense, in that it has its own local community, yet it also has that outreach to the world through the United Nations in particular. Virginia, Richmond will be seen as smaller compared to some of the other host cities, but also being the birthplace of modern America in many ways. Does that combination bring a special opportunity to the Menuhin?
Yeah, I think every host city does. When people said, well, why not go to New York? But New York there's so much going on. I'd rather go to a smaller city which will totally embrace it and really get behind the event, and it'll make a real difference to the community.
We've talked about the people of Richmond and what they're going to bring to the competition. when you think of your 44 young entrants who are getting ready even today for 2020, what do you want them to keep in mind?
I think it's about finding their own individual voice. I think we'll have a lot more applications coming from America. I mean, we already do, but there'll be a huge enhanced uptake to come to Richmond.
For some people who may not know the story of Yehudi Menuhin, what would you tell them about?
Well, he was an amazing person, not just a violinist. He was a great humanitarian. He was a world citizen, basically. And when you met him, when you walked into a room, there was this incredible feeling of somebody very powerful, very important, but in a very quiet way.
You've been involved with the Menuhin competition since its very first day back in 1983. Where would you like it to go next in terms of broadening its vision or even narrowing it down?
Well, I think in a way it reinvents itself every 2 years. I mean, many competitions get stale being in the same city. What's so exciting with ours is we go to a new host city, a new host country. So when you embrace all those aspects of the host, it becomes a new event essentially every 2 years.
Gordon Back, thank you very much.
Thank you, James.